Depending on which angle I look at this from, it almost looks like there's a really light haze on here, but not quite. Almost speckly like that gloss pass, but not quite. I do have some 1500 grit sandpaper. This is only a few hours later, so I'm not about to sand this right now. I'm going to give this a full 24 hours. But there's definitely something weird going on with the finish. I mean, it works, I'm gonna go ahead and move with it. So I don't know if it was the 1183 rubber or what's going on with that. I think this floor is just about ready. And here's the first piece that's going to be going on it. Just for fun, let's test fit it here. I'm going to have to shave those posts down because all the paint and enamel has definitely thickened them up more than it should. And with this, I can start wiring. These tubes here were initially designed for those upper panels there. I'll probably need some more. Finally get to start doing some LED work. Sweet. And here's the floor. It went mildly hazy with the matte coat, but I'm moving ahead with it. There is a little blobbing going on over down in this area, which is fine because that's going to be just about completely hidden. Everything else is looking good. I did lose a little detail around this area here. I don't mind that in this case. And this floor over here is definitely doing fine. No more seams. But all this backspace is pretty much useless anyway because of the way they did the set. They cheated it. Rather than having it curve out, a wall comes just straight down. So in this case, I'm just going to duplicate that because I'm not prepared to possibly drill a hole all the way through the outer wall to the inner wall and so on and so forth. But I might. But at this point, it's time to put the first piece on. And basically, what I had thought I was going to do was one thing I'm definitely going to have to do is go through with a razor blade for every single one of these pieces to make sure I get rid of excess paint. So everything's got to be test fit first, but in this case I already test fitted this. I hollowed out those tubes just a little bit, and let's get some light in here. I'd say it officially begins with this. One thing I have noticed is that over time the curve of the plastic has fallen to the side, so while the command console is definitely straight, the floor has pulled away from this side, and I think you can see that there. So that just means some extra amount of gluing and clamping is going to have to be done at these ends. This side will be easy to clamp. This side, however, might be near impossible for me to get a clamp on. I had considered pouring some glue from the far inside here and let it drip out. However, it could easily drip past the seam line and start to make some really bad things going on. So what I'm probably going to do is pull the piece off, run glue around the edges, put it back on, and then clamp it. But as a test fit, I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing. I might be able to cut some of this area out here if I need the space for the fiber optics. Everything here has a nice straight shot, so I gotta glue the brass tubes back into this area that I was going to do before. I think I got those around. I might have to cut this area. I'll definitely have to trim there and maybe a little there. That's okay. I may have to put an additional baffle because no matter what, the seam is definitely going to have some leak going on, I think. So if I insert a piece of small strip all along that inner area, that should help to block it out, just as I'll have to baffle in this area here so that light doesn't leak out into the front and bounce back. I don't want that either. It's possible the window goes straight up to that edge. I haven't test fit all of that yet, I don't think. But that one fits nice, and I think I'm going to have to slice out the front here. Yeah, so I haven't sliced that one out yet. I have started cutting some of these just randomly, and all I'm doing is if there's a backside, I want to make sure I'm not going to stab myself here and get my magnifiers. So if there's a backside to the piece, I'm scraping along that. I had thought about using the backside of the razor to be a bit more gentle. But because that's not sharp and digging in, it's just going to scrape along and possibly do more damage than it would have otherwise. So first up is going to be a heck of a lot of this. Oh, I was looking at the wrong one anyway. These I have already scraped. That's a really nice tight fit there. That's not too bad. The problem I've got with this, if there can be said to be a problem, is the big lack of seams on this side just show that off as a tab going into a hole. And you definitely need it on the front and on this front, but that, I just really don't know how to get rid of that without, I could tape all that off. It would mean repainting. Alright, so the technique I have in mind is put down a very thin piece of tape, put this piece back in, get out some putty, fill that seam, sand it fine, repaint it, and then try to put it on again. Or cut the tabs off completely. However, that one is definitely needed to help maintain the corner, whereas this one is not needed, and I could actually space it a little further in so it would hide the tab completely. I think that's probably my best solution. So I'm going to have to test fit each one of the pieces one at a time, each alone as I go along. In the directions it specifically says that you should start with part 60, I think. Whatever it is, it's either one wall or a section of, I'll call these struts and these walls basically. So either it starts with one of the struts and works its way around, or from another way. I don't know which. I don't know that I'm going to be following it. I think I'm going to go this way around. But at the very first I'm going to put this in, so probably then that wall, this, worry about that wall later. Oh, and if this is the airlock, I could have actually filled that seam, because I'm not going to be using the door that slots here. How good a repair could I do without having to refinish the entire floor? Give it a try. And that will have to happen before any parts go down. So I think that's the next project for this. So I'm going to generically cut out a lot more of these slots to help things fit, and then every single piece is going to have to be test fit one at a time. I may even have to number all of these tubes to see which ones fit best. One last bit of painting I have to do is put some 1706 on this down rim there. I do get to mask off this line though. That does not, or there is a black line going across where the upper and lower floors separate. And I've also noticed in some shows that this is covered over completely, as if it were a single floor. So, next step, razor blade, putty.